I should have sent y'all an email out. That's what we want to work off tonight. Is making some decisions on which things we're going to keep, which things we're not. And then anything in the regular budget. So does everybody have a copy of that?
Yes. What? Can you hear us?
Is everybody on mute except me?
Turn your speaker up.
I can't hear anybody. Oh, I had my computer on mute. Sorry about that.
You got it?
Yeah, I hear you now. All right.
Okay.
All righty. Let's see. Everybody's here except John, so we'll give him a minute. Well, John, what I told the group is you have your the budget notable items. That's what we're going to go down and make some decisions on. So you have that handy. We'll go ahead and get started. I read a couple of y'all's, not everybody's emails that you sent to Alex. So, I thought the easiest way is just to go down these notable items and we'll take a vote real quick and have a consensus, a majority, rules, and we'll add those in, and then at the end we'll figure out how we're going to pay for it. Whether we're going to, David has some ideas, Brad has some ideas, and so we'll discuss that if that's all right with everybody. So if everybody has that budget notable items, the first one on the list is it's not in the manager's draft budget. It's $40,000 for the 325, 329 Stallings Road demolition. Would anybody like to add that to the budget?
Hey, Mayor, Alex here. Would it be helpful if we kind of bring that notable items list and we could just everybody could look at it together?
No, I like looking at their faces so they can talk to me. Everybody's got a copy of it, they said.
Yep,
Okay.
we got it.
Yeah, they all got it. So I like looking at their faces. So we're almost like we're meeting in person. I appreciate it, Alex, but does anybody want to add that to the budget? All right, no, so that stays out of the budget. And the second one is the front entrance of Old Town Hall, the doors. That's $28,900. It's in the manager's draft budget. What's the consensus of the council on that one?
I'd like to leave it in.
Me too.
I want to vote out. So can we have a vote?
Yeah, we're voting right now. So that's David's in, Brad's in, that's 2. And then there's a no.
I want it.
John's a yes.
I also want it if it comes out of the excess budget
No,
money this year.
Tonight. We'll figure out how we pay for it later.
Okay, gotcha.
So is it yes, Stephen?
Yes, sir.
All right, the majority has it then. All right, so that stays in. The economic development implementation contractor, it's in the draft budget for $20,000.
Yes.
I'd like to leave that.
So would I.
All right, that's 2, 4,
Yes.
3.
Yes.
Yes.
What was that, Linda?
I'll leave it in.
Okay. That's the majority. All right, the next one's the DFI downtown feasibility assessment, phase 1, the $75,000. It's in the draft budget. So what's the consensus?
Vote to leave it in.
All right,
I want to defer it until the next budget year.
all right.
I want to leave it in.
2 to 1,
Leave it in.
3,
I'll leave it too.
All right, that's 4. That's a consensus. I'll tell you what, the ones that aren't in the draft budget, we're just gonna leave those out because it doesn't make any sense to talk about those to me. The next
But
one is.
I would disagree a little bit, Mr. Mayor, please. Because some of these were TBDs and they weren't included because they were TBDs.
Well, we'll come to those after we do the yeses then. So
Okay.
Downtown streetscape design, $98,000.
I did leave that one in.
I think it's premature. That was my assessment of this. I would vote not to have that this year.
Yeah, pull it.
I don't want
yeah.
to
What'd you say, Heather?
say no.
All right, that's 3 to 1.
Yeah, I'm a no. I'm a no now, and if it pops up mid-year, we can figure it out then.
All right, that's the majority. We'll take that one out. Next one is outsource payroll, $10,000.
What about the communication specialist?
It's not in the budget. So we'll come back to the no's after we do the yeses. It's not in the budget.
Oh, I got you.
Outsourcing the payroll for at the cost of $10,000.
So
Yes.
can we ask a question on this one here? I was a little confused. It says $10,000 to the budget, but then the comment on this one here said outsource payroll for the town, cost reduce of 8,500. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding how is it costing us money, but also reducing the money?
All right, Alex or Marshall?
That's a cost reduction in next year. It's $10,000 for the first year because there's some implementation costs, and then the following years it would be 8,500.
Do we do this in-house now?
Yes, we do.
So it's basically a 14-month payback.
I'm not sure I understood that. So who's doing this now, and what that frees up someone's time, I assume, right?
It's the human resource director that does it now, and it would give us some stability in that she could actually be working, for human resource type, higher level duties that she has. Spend more time on that.
As we grow, we're going to have, as an organization, we're going to have greater HR needs. And it also gives us, I think, some greater sustainability service level. If anybody went out for an extended period, it could be problematic with getting that done. And from a liability perspective, it's much more systematic. So I think those are the big reasons before. I would invite Karen and Marcia to correct me if I missed anything.
How many people are on staff that can do payroll right now?
2.
Yep.
You two? I mean, Karen and Marcia?
No,
Kim.
I have never done it. It's Karen and Kim.
Okay.
I've done it before at a previous stop in an emergency situation. And it's not easy. It's complicated. So
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay to support this. I'll take Alex's recommendation for such a small dollar amount.
Me too.
Same.
That's 3.
Yep, makes sense.
All right, that's 4. That's a consensus. All right, next up is the performance evaluation implementation for $6,000.
Same comment as before. I'd support the manager on these type of expenses. I think that's why we hired him. So I'm okay with it.
Agreed.
All right, that's 2 in favor.
Sure.
3,
Yep.
4?
So this is not the pay plan. This is just, what is this exactly? Performance evaluation. Oh, this is the, okay, I know what it is now. Never mind.
All righty. All right. The next one is the health insurance renewal, $13,000. It's 18,720, the budget amount, but it's a net change in the draft to the budget of $13,000. And does anybody need Karen or Alex to go back over the details of that? I know it was pretty complicated, but it made sense to me.
I'm good with it.
2.
Yep.
Did I hear, David, did you say yes?
Yes, yes, yes.
Stephen, Heather, you all okay with it?
Yes, sir. Sorry. Yes, sir.
Sure.
All right. Potential litigation expense. All right. Brad, you had some comments on this one.
Oh, no, I think we need to budget for it. I think my only comment was related to it should come out of fund balance.
Right. I don't think it should be a line item, budget item. It should come out of fund balance. I agree with you.
I mean, and that was kind of my idea also, but my question here is, I mean, it's been a couple of months now. Just a one-liner. Alex, do you still think that this is coming, or it's just taking them a while to actually submit for case?
Don't know, but if you held a gun to my head, I would say yes.
We don't want to do that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And if we have it as a line item and then fund balance, it's still sitting in the savings account. It's not being spent, but we can budget for it.
Exactly.
Well, we're worried about where to expense it later, right?
What's that, David?
We're just leaving it at 125 in there, but we'll figure out how to pay for it next step. Right?
Well, yeah, we'll figure out how to pay for all this. Yeah, next step. Right.
Okay, so yeah, we'll leave it in.
I say leave it.
All righty. All righty. Police department, replace 3 vehicles. That's our policy. Unless we want to change our policy on the mileage. Does everybody agree with this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fine.
The Lexipol policy manual and guardian tracking, $12,000.
Yes.
Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, that's 2,
Oh, yeah. It is what it is.
3, 4. Okay. Body camera replacement, 14,500 phased in over 5 years.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. In-car camera replacement, 27,900 phased in over 5 years.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that 27.9 every year for 5 years, or one-time cost and we're putting it in the budget? How's that work?
Chief, I think you're on. Could you answer that for us, please?
That's every year for those first 5 years.
So we're looking at 28 a year. Okay.
That includes the cloud storage for all this and the technology replacement. So at year 5, we will get brand new cameras from the vendor.
Without a charge?
Right. We're on a, like, I guess we'd call it a technology lease. So we pay a little extra every year, and that at year 5, they'll replace with the newest generation camera.
All right.
And that also covers warranty items, anything like that there. If they break it, they replace it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so that stays in. And then the drug forfeiture fund expenditures, that's 25,000, but it's revenue awash. So I assume we'll want to keep that.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, the next one is the bypass landscaping annual maintenance, $45,000. I know Alex, y'all have done some work on that, and I know everybody had some opinions on that. So Alex, can you give us an update on the cost?
Sure. We talked about kind of the landscaping things that that seemed to most traction based on the comments we received. What would the estimated cost for outsourcing it be? And the answer is we don't know until we bid it out, but we took our best stab at it. And Aaron, can you pull up the slide we made that shows the cost of what we heard the most about? Okay. So you'll see here, and I would invite Mr. Price to jump in here, Ms. Platts where appropriate. But the roadsides, what we do now is kind of basically do about a strip on either side of the sidewalk. And then Blair Mill Park, that's the cost of just kind of doing the annual routine maintenance and cutting, if you will, the estimate, if you will. And then the you saw in the email I previously sent, staff are concerned that about kind of just the hard clay out there, whether we'd spend all that money kind of in fertilizer and just kind of the routine process, grass seed, but not have the clay kind of take it. And we have the kind of turf that it sounds like council is envisioning. So we're talking, looking for someone who's kind of an expert, a turf management person, if you will, see if there's any initial soil remediation that needs to be made. And then bypass costs, that's the contractor estimated costs, plus we added in some for mulch and irrigation costs. So a lot of that will be based on kind of the standards that we want. You know, go ahead, sir.
Sorry. Does any of those costs include flowers and gardens and, you know, making it look nice other than just grass cutting?
I believe the bypass, we contemplate having some annual beds that would potentially be changed out. And that one, I believe the Blair Mill Park number, and I'll ask for Ms. Platts and Mr. Price to correct me where I'm wrong, includes, you know, kind of like trimming up some landscaping, blowing, but I don't believe it contemplates adding any new shrubberies or, you know, having any annual beds, things like that. And of course, the roadside cutting is just cutting it down.
Yeah, that's okay. It's Blair Mill and the bypass especially.
That's correct though, Alex. The bypass would be the only one that includes any sort of replacement of annuals or kind of flower beds. Yeah, Blair Mill Park does, excuse me. Blair Mill Park doesn't include that, nor the roadsides. And also just a note on the roadsides, I would bear in mind, you know, we just do that strip on either side. And if we want anything more than what NCDOT does now, like from the sidewalk to the road shoulder, that number is probably going to double, if not more than double, because of how much more grass should be cut there. So I would just bear that in mind.
And did we determine if we could get some reimbursement since we're mowing the DOT's strips that they should be maintaining?
If we're just doing supplemental to what they cut, which they do like 6 or 7 times a year, they won't give us anything just supplementing their cut. All they would pay for is if we took over basically all of their mowing throughout town, and then they would pay us whatever they normally pay the contractor. But from what I've heard from some of our neighboring towns, they're just taking it over and
All right, Brian, you're really
trying to get a reimbursement because they said it's. I have kind of a bad connection. I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me?
Sometimes.
So does the 30,000 include us taking over DOT's mowing?
No, ma'am, it does not. The 30,000 would just be them doing that one strip on either side of the sidewalks.
All
Just
righty.
talking
Well,
to-
thanks for this information. You know, my recommendation is before we add people and add equipment, and we really don't know a firm cost is, I'd recommend outsourcing it for a year and see how that works and see what the total cost is. And then if it doesn't look good, then we start hiring people and adding equipment. But if you know, you don't really know until you outsource it, whether it's you know, once you hire those people and have the equipment, you've committed to that plan. So that would be my recommendation, is to outsource all that maintenance and then not have to worry about any more equipment.
Concur.
I agree.
Wait,
All right, that's 3.
I heard 4, so I think you've got your consensus. I would only comment, I think my comment, Wyatt, was, again, not to keep saying the same thing, but I'm okay with this. I think it's probably the right move. I would trust Alex and hold Alex accountable. I hope he's not cringing when I say it, but I think part of the manager's job is to assess costs for outsourcing versus in-house staff and get us the best price and the best service. So I'm okay with outsourcing, but my general take on this kind of stuff is to give the manager some flexibility within and expect him to understand that payroll costs always escalate, as do contracts. So I'm okay with where we are.
All right, well, we'll take out the 15,000 or 45,000 and the $15,000 net change to the draft budget. All right, the next thing is the update to transportation master plan for, thank you, Aaron, for $25,000. Linda, you're the vice chair of CartPo. What do you think?
I'll support it. I think it came from the Transportation Committee as something that we needed to do a while back, so I'm supporting it.
I agree. And whether
Concur.
I agree.
All right, that's 4.
Hey, John, you're on mute, you know.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that's a keeping it in. That's a check mark. All right, we're down to page 2.
Do we have the current map transportation plan available?
Hey, Steve, we do. We can send it to you. I'll make a note here.
I guess
Appreciate
to expanding on that question, what does updating this master transportation plan give us? Because we spent quite a bit of time on that with the UDO. So what's the delta and what's the potential gain here?
Hey, Mayor, if it's all right, I could probably answer that question.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a good one, John. I think with these transportation master plans, you can make it as simple or as elaborate as you want. You know, in talking with CarPo staff, you know, a full-blown one would probably cost between 125 to 200,000 bucks if you were to kind of bring in a consultant and kind of do one from scratch or do a super major overhaul. So the thinking in putting this $25,000 in is that if it was just a simple process, we could probably do it in-house and just use those funds to help, you know, kind of update the documents and do anything we needed from that standpoint. If the board wanted to do something a little bit more complex, for lack of a better word, then we would need to likely bring a consultant in, and that $25,000 could be used to as our 20% match to the CarPo grant that opens up in the fall to go after to try to use a consultant. So the short answer, Councilmember Martin, to your question is we don't know. It'll depend on the extent that council wants to change and update and modify the plan. But that $25,000 should give us the flexibility to either do a simple plan in-house or to do something more complex, assuming that we can get that grant.
Alex, do you mind if I follow up with just I probably should have been, this just wasn't something that I had a great deal of interest in, so I didn't do a lot of background check, but just
Sure.
in 2 sentences, what does the transportation plan for a town of our size encompass? And I'm just looking for the 2 sentence.
I would say it prioritizes roadways and identifies the upgrades that need to be made.
2 sentences, all right.
I guess my only concern there, and it's only 25K, so it's not a huge deal, but most of the roadways in town are existing. Most of the major roadways we don't have any control over, and most of the land in town's already developed. So I guess I would expect staff would be able to take care of it in-house, and it wouldn't be something there's not a grand re-envisioning that is even possible in the next, 2 to 3 decades. So, but I'll go with the majority of the council. I just, that was my thought.
What was the consensus on this? Linda said yes.
Yes.
David,
think-
Brad,
yeah.
Stephen?
Yeah.
All right, that's a consensus, so we'll keep it in. Thanks for all the comments. All right, PAL bill. All right, and then the additional road repair of 125,000 and the another additional road repair of 150,000. Those 2 line items there. So comments? Change the amount, add to it, delete it, reduce it.
Alex, can you explain the comments on where it says total additional road repair and et cetera, offsets and this and that?
Sure. And I apologize for kind of make it complicated. The end result I was trying to reach here was to have $275,000 additionally that we could put towards street maintenance in addition to Powell bill. And there was an opportunity with the litigation to kind of take the litigation from, basically what I was trying to do was to use restricted funds prior to using unrestricted funds, right? Because if we got a choice, we want to use restricted funds just because it gives the town greater flexibility with funds. So big picture wise, what the manager, my budget had done that I proposed was essentially free up $275,000 in the budget that we could put towards street maintenance in addition to the Powell bill fund. Does that make sense?
Oh, where were you getting 275 freed up?
Well, the 150,000, it would be from the additional rate above the revenue neutral rate.
All right. How many dollars in sidewalk work are we doing this year? New sidewalks.
Great question. We are doing in new sidewalks or maintenance?
New. No, we got to maintain what we got, but how much new are we doing?
I'm not aware of any new street sidewalks that we're adding this fiscal year. There's nothing on the CMIIP that calls for that. The only sort of walkways that are being added is that one Vickery Greenway Trail.
Okay.
I support Alex's initiative. I think they made a good cost benefit case for us on the condition of our roads. I'll support the addition of this. I had a little different opinion of where we got it from, but we'll talk about that later if it approves.
Well, David, did you want to divert some of this money to sidewalks versus road repair?
Oh, no, I wanted to go the other way,
Oh, okay, gotcha.
but there are no sidewalks, new sidewalks to divert. So we're good. I know we got to maintain, I don't know how much is the maintenance, but I'm sure Alex has got that under control. We're good. I'm good.
Right. Well, that's
Should divert some to the cart paths at Shawnamara Divide. I think that'd be good. I played that course for the first time in 30 years last week with my kids. So.
All right.
Should have stopped by.
Well, that's 2 in favor.
Yeah, we need to divert some more to streets. So yeah, I agree.
That's 3.
Yes.
All right, 4, that's a consensus. All right, thank you. All righty, the HVAC repairs replacement, $20,000. Is that just something that happens every year? Do we have to spend money in replacing it, or is this a one-time thing?
Both, if you will. So there, I believe Mr. Price can explain this better, but there are several HVAC units within the within our facilities, and we're slowly replacing them. And if one were to go down, we could replace it then, but also have repairs on it in the meantime. Mr. Price, can you clean that up for me, please?
Yes, exactly. We put that in there every year, and that's something we decided a couple of years back, and we put about 20,000 in there every year because we do still have some old units, and once those get newer, we may be able to bring that down a little bit, what we put in there, but it also a lot of times goes to other repairs. We've had to do several repairs this year with balancing the system or different things with running some wiring. So it's money that we always have there. And, over the next couple of years, as we have that left over at the end of the budget, we'll probably look at replacing some of those older units. And again, like I say, once those are replaced, then we probably won't need quite as much to go into that line item going forward. But until then, I think it's imperative to keep that in there while we still have a couple of older units, because they could go down at any time.
Yeah, how many units do we have?
At Town Hall, we have a total of 5 units, and 2 have been replaced. So we do have 3 that are slowly aging out. And then, the other buildings are new, of course, so we shouldn't have to worry about anything there right now. But I would say going forward, we need to try to keep something in there in case any of those 3 older units were to go down.
Alex, you and I touched on this earlier, but yeah, I'd like to keep this in the budget, but I'd also like you to look at some of that federal money we got and see if we can potentially use some of that to upgrade the air handlers and put it in a filtration system that would help address some of the COVID concerns for this fall.
Sure, we can take a look at that. Thank you, John.
Councilman Martin, just to expand on that, I do have our company who does all of our remote access and monitoring of the system. They did give me a number on doing the UV filtration. I don't have that number just because they told me it was a large number, but if we can use some of that federal money, I could go back to them and get the actual quote so we can see what it was.
Well,
I'll leave it.
I'm looking at our expenditures last year under Public Works. I don't even see a line item for what would HVAC maintenance be under?
Capital repairs.
Capital repairs.
Or
Capital outlay.
capital out.
Capital outlay. So if we spent $61,000 this year, was that on the 2 new units?
No, sir. Those 2 units we replaced were probably 2 years back. There's a couple of different things that come out of my capital outlay. That's just one of the items we have in there. I don't have anything in front of me to see exactly what we've spent out of that capital outlay for HVAC this year.
Well, Alex, we need to find out what we spent $61,000 on capital outlay if it wasn't on HVAC for Public Works. So I'd like to know that.
For the current fiscal year?
Yeah, for the current year.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll find out.
Yeah, it don't need to be tonight.
No, those were items like there were some trailers purchased.
Yes, okay.
And there
That's
was
what I was
a,
saying, yes. It's not
it
just
doesn't, the
HVAC
capital
that's in
outlay,
there.
exactly.
All right, so do we have consensus to keep the 20,000 in?
Yes.
Yeah.
All righty. So now here's the next one is the 0-turn mower for $15,000. So if we're outsourcing, do we need that?
No,
No.
Would actually say yes. I'd recommend, let me put it this way, Ms. Platts, can you explain a little bit about?
Yes, sir. We are still insourcing landscaping both at Town Hall and the Stallings Park location and our Privet Park. Right now, we only have 2 mowers, and we the 1 zero turn that we have is nearing its end of its usable life. So it will need to be replaced. We've actually had it in the shop 3 times this year, and it's got about 600 hours on it. And we anticipate at some point in time this fiscal year that it's going to need to be replaced.
Yeah, I would concur with that we really do need that piece of equipment. The only way that we could really say we don't is if we just end up outsourcing all the landscaping, which would basically just be Town Hall and Stallings Park added to the other items that we'd be outsourcing for landscaping.
All right, well, council's gonna have to make some hard decisions. We can keep everything in and break the bank, or we can make some hard decisions. So, because we can have a tax increase and keep everything and go into fund balance, or we're gonna have to make some hard decisions on somewhere down the line, because we haven't cut out much. So what's the consensus on the 0 turn mower?
No,
How old is this? How old is the current mower?
It was purchased in 2016.
So it's 5 years old.
It's not necessarily age, but we do have over 500 hours on it, which is quite a bit of hours when it comes to a piece of equipment like that.
But don't we have another one? You
Yeah,
said
we
we
have
have
2.
2.
Yeah, they said
No,
they-
we do not have another 0 turn mower. We have another flat mower. But those right now, those 2 mowers are literally the only 2 grass cutting apparatus that we have. And so that is what we depend upon for both Stallings Park and, well, right now, Stallings Park, Blair Mill, roadsides, and Town Hall.
So, Alex, what happens mid-year if we need to buy a new mower? How do we handle that if it's not budgeted?
It might be something that we could, see if we've got any money left over in certain areas and kind of purchase it there, depending on the cost. It's something I may be able to approve, or we bring it to the board for consideration.
What's your threshold at which you can approve things without board consensus?
$20,000
Total for the year or for one purchase?
for one purchase.
And Alex, do we depreciate equipment like this here? I know in construction firms, equipment like this here gets depreciated over time.
for nonprofit.
Yes.
We do.
Yeah, from an accounting perspective, we don't, we don't pay taxes, right? So that takes a little bit of the value of depreciation. We do track on our CMIP and try to identify when the useful life of mowers is up, and I believe this one is up.
So we do have, I guess what I'm coming down to is that, I mean, again, I'm more familiar with construction. I mean, each piece of equipment that comes in gets budgeted for a certain lifespan, and then it gets killed off. I mean, if do we have that on the books somewhere as to what the hours or how that's put into the budget, how many hours that piece of equipment no longer considered usable?
Mr. You go by the standards for that.
I'm sorry, I was talking over you, Ashley. My apology.
We go by the manufacturer standards for that. That's what OSHA requires us to go by. So we use the manufacturer standards.
Okay, so you do use OSHA standards.
Yeah, that's my connection, Steve, a little bit. I get hard choices, Mayor, and I appreciate that. At the same time, I think I incorrectly linked this 0 turn mower to the outsourcing of bypass and all of that stuff, which I don't think it's the case. I'd be in favor of upgrading our equipment to keep it safe and operable. I think we're just gonna have to do it mid-year if we don't budget for it. I'd rather budget for it.
All right, that's one in favor.
I'm okay with keeping the zero turn mower, but I wanted to eliminate the next three items. So I know you're gonna go individually there, but I'm okay with keeping the mower in.
All right, there's two in favor.
Let's keep them more. Is there any resale value to the existing?
Yes, sir. We can always put equipment on Gov Deals, which we have done in the past, and we've had mixed results with that, with both our old gators, old lawn equipment, old vehicles. It kind of depends on the market and what people are looking for, but we do utilize Gov Deals for that.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Ashley. All right, so I think we got a consensus on keeping the zero turn mower.
I'm still a no.
You're still a no?
Yeah.
No problem. Thanks for letting us know. All right. Well, the next three, the first one is, it's all contingent upon, are we going to add additional staff on the maintenance shop to do for the lift and the tractor attachment? So let's touch the additional staff at 53,200.
Mr.
No.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Can we ask again? I'm still a little fuzzy on what the maintenance shop person is doing on a day-to-day basis.
A new one?
Huh?
A new one if they added it?
Yes, sir. I would just, is it possible to just get, I hate to say the 2-sentence overview, but kind of just trying to understand what is this role and what are they doing on a day-to-day basis?
You talking about the new one or the current one?
I'm talking about the additional staff.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
The new-
Yeah.
Sure. Go ahead to Councilman Ayers. Mr. Price, could you provide that information, please?
Yes, absolutely. The initial thought too with the new employee was with the bypass landscaping coming in and also trying to take over some of the NCDOT mowing since we don't get as many cuts from them every year. So that grass seems to get very high and look unsightly. And as we just do the 2 strips on the sidewalks, it's overlooked all the time. So the main thought in the beginning of that was to have them doing landscaping work. We're going to put the lift in the shop so we can start servicing some of our vehicles in-house, including like the PD vehicle, doing oil changes, tire rotation, things of that nature. Again, do some in-house work, saving some money and time that it takes to take those vehicles in for service. And then they would also be helping out with, as we do building maintenance, trees that fall in the road, pothole patches, street sign repair, that sort of thing. So they would float right in and do everything that we do now. And the biggest thing was we were going to be taking on more landscaping work.
All righty.
Since we're
Any
outsourcing
other
that.
questions?
Since we're outsourcing that, are you sure you still want that person?
Yeah, and that would be the thing. If you're going to be outsourcing like roadsides and bypass and all that, then I would say we probably don't need to look at hiring a new person this year.
All right.
All right, Linda, it was a one to take out all three. What's the consensus?
I'm a no for all 3.
I would think that would be Alex's recommendation if he's going to outsource these, right, Alex? No.
Yes, we would need to use some of that money to kind of help make out the difference. I know we're not talking about funding, but we gotta come up with the money to do it.
All right, well, we'll take out those 3. All right, the next one is, we're down in the Park and Rec, is the Blair Mill Park Enhancements, a food truck pad and utilities for the park of $50,000. Oh, it's not in the budget, excuse me, that's the end, we'll come back to it. The next up is the Blair Mill Park Greenway, the Vickery portion, $55,000, which utilizes fee in lieu restricted funds of $426,000 plus cost savings and reserve. So, some line item, budget will come out of operating expenses, the difference there, $124,000. So.
Is that an operating expense or a capital expense? Could it be?
Well, it could
Would
be
it
either
come out
one.
different? It would come out of a different fund.
Yeah.
I guess we'll discuss funding later.
Keep it. We got to get it started.
And I said keep it because based on what we've talked about here and just other council members, the staff has been working on this for a while and already negotiated with Victory on a number of topics. And also we've already brought DOT into it and funded money for the crosswalk. It felt like to me, if we weren't going to fund it, there were opportunities before now that we should have probably pumped the brakes on. I mean, that was just my idea.
All right. That's
Concur.
2, 4,
3,
3. David?
yes.
I'm a no, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm a yes. I'm a yes, but
Right now.
I'd fund it out of fund balance, but yeah, I'm good.
Well, I agree with you. Fund balance, all right.
Yeah.
I think Linda brings up a great point, and I don't want to, this is the tougher one for me, because it will be a path to nowhere for a while, but I understand the philosophy behind it. I can support it for now.
All right, next up is 25,000 Blair Mill Landscaping, which we've now going to outsource. We'll take that out. Blair Mill signage for 10,000.
I'd like to remind us all that we have 2 entrances to Blair Mill Park. Neither one of them have any signage whatsoever. The one side near Fairhaven, people at our side of town think that that's a Fairhaven park, and the other side, they don't even know what it is because it's not signed. So it says there's only one sign in our cost there. It's 2 signs we got to think about, and I hope we can figure out how to come up with a lower cost than 10 grand each.
May I address this, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's 2 signs, Ashley, so that's what we're discussing. I mean, what do you want to add?
Part of the signage plan at the Blair Mill Greenway that was just discussed includes a sign that identifies that area. Our plan was to put another sign at the Fairhaven entrance side and then a reduced scope signage on the northern side that also identifies it as Blair Mill. That wouldn't cost as much. That would be done internally as part of the internal signage plan that Eunice and Brian and his team have been working on the last couple of weeks. So we do understand the cost there, and we want to get something in place as soon as possible to identify it as Blair Mill. But we didn't necessarily think that we needed 3 giant signs to do that. So we do know that a sign is coming with the Greenway that will identify that. It will be across the street. However, at the entrance, we do plan to put very identifiable signage with town logos that identifies the disc golf course and Blair Mill Park, as well as a featured sign on the Fairhaven side, so people do know that it does belong to the town of Stallings.
If I may suggest we flip that and put the featured sign on the well-traveled road that has, that's a major thoroughfare. The other one is
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely. We can do that.
other one is just the residents.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
All right, so we're talking about $10,000 for 2 signs. I'm thinking that some type of wood sign, decorative wood sign, that I have no idea how much they cost. So is $10,000 enough, council?
Ashley, is this enough?
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, just remember wood signs have a tendency not to last very long.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah.
I was with the former public works manager of Matthews the other night, and we were walking through the streets of Matthews, and I said, "Hey, Ralph, how much did this sign cost?" Because he bought it for the town. He says, "Oh, that one there with all the ironwork, that was $8 grand." I'm like, "I'm kidding. They're not cheap. I know we're not going to do ironwork, scroll work and stuff, but," he said, "Oh, they're not cheap if you want them to last."
One of the things that came up when I was reviewing this, David, is, we talked the last meeting that there were signs already picked out for certain things. And I mean, I guess my bigger question here for this one is, are we going to carry, the signs that we've already picked out? Are we going to carry that both to Blair Mill Park and Stallings Downtown Park. I mean, Stallings Downtown doesn't really actually have any signage either. So I'm just kind of curious as to what thoughts are in general. I mean, we're talking about one line item here, but it seems like it's kind of maybe a bigger question, or at least it feels like it is.
I agree. The town hall's not even marked, or the police department.
Yeah,
Again, I just wanted to let you know, we are working on an internal signage plan. Eunice from the Parks and Rec Department has been designing them along with Aaron and Alex and Brian to get some, what we're calling temporary permanent signage. It will be higher grade than what you would consider a temporary signage, but it will be nice enough to be in place to identify everything until we can come up with something that's more comprehensive. And I think you're really going to like it. I think it's going to look nice. And it's going to be very low cost for the time being. It will not be permanent, but I do think that, we're addressing this internally for now until we can make these higher level decisions.
All right, thank you.
All right, y'all want to leave it in at 10,000?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, Ashley, you did say 10,000 is enough, right?
So that's 2 yeses.
So I guess
Yes.
one clarification was, did the money we just allocated for the Greenway plan included a couple signs? So if we don't spend the 10K if we don't budget this 10K, do we still get signs? Or is this, are
for the
we
Greenway side.
Yeah, but can we modify it to, Greenway, including the park?
Councilman Martin, the location of the sign for the Greenway is on the side of the road on the Vickery neighborhood side, not the park side. So if that helps you clarify.
Gotcha, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, there'd be 3 separate signs.
Hey, Ashley, Alex here. Would you mind just clarifying what we would get for $10,000 for everybody? I think there's maybe some confusion there.
Yes, correct. We're basing this monetary point off of the I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. The Pappas property down at the end of Chestnut, where they have had our Greenway plan signage engineered to put in. It's not installed yet, but it is coming soon. What they were priced out as was $7,500 per sign. So we were looking at hopefully being able to reduce that cost by utilizing different vendors and then being able to do, again, the 2 signs for Blair Mill. The signage for the Greenway does include the higher price, but we do think that, we have a pretty significant contingency in there for the Greenway project that we think will come under budget for that. So we'll be able to reallocate some of that money to help with that signage as well. Typically, Parks and Recreation does budget for advertising every year. However, since we have gone through COVID and redone our event plans to be more in-house and more local, we've significantly reduced our external advertising so that we'll be able to utilize some of that money for signage to increase things in the park, like letting people know where, the holes for the disc golf, letting people know how to get to each one. We're also working with a couple different vendors out in town to sponsor some of this stuff. There's one group in particular that's looking at helping us out at Blair Mill, specifically for the disc golf course, but not for park signage.
So Ashley, just to summarize then, the $10,000, it would get us the one initial nice sign for Buttermill Park in accordance with our plan. We would be able to kind of put up some temporary signage for the internal purposes.
Right.
It was nice in accordance. The Vicar Greenway, if and when it's constructed, would have a nice plan that would go along with that. And then for the town hall campus, we're working on some internal signage there. Okay. Just wanted to make everybody was clear. If we wanted to do any sort of signage, kind of permanent, nice signage for the municipal park, we would do something that's permanent, temporary signage. But, and Stephen, appreciate you saying Stallings Downtown Park. I caught that.
Yes.
If we wanted to do anything, any of the engineered monument signs for the Stallings Municipal / Downtown Park, these funds would not include that. So just wanted to be clear on that fact.
All right, we're gonna leave the amount in at $10,000. All right. Next up is the Privet Park enhancements. So it does say in there it's 28,000 towards the net change in the budget, but it says legal obligation to turn park into a park when funds become available. You know, so I know we do have a legal obligation, but when funds become available, so that leaves a wide opening.
And you were there too when Melanie read that ruling to us. It is so wide open and so vague. There is no requirement, no time requirement, or no definition of park. It could be nothing more than a picnic bench and a grill if we wanted to go that route.
Right. So
Is that the route that we want to go?
I don't want to spend $55,000 there.
and to me, this is not the year to spend it. You know, we're already having to you know, bring out $800,000 out of fund balance or have a tax increase. So this is the year to me to push this down the road to another year.
I thought there was a possibility of getting grants for that park. Whatever happened with that, Ashley?
I thought we had already funded part of this also previously.
Yeah, because I thought we were so close to agreeing on starting right before COVID.
Yes, this was a product of getting lost in when our committees stopped. This was sent back to committee, and we did not have our Park and Rec committee in for the last 18 months. So we did not have the funding secured for this, but we did get a couple of quotes, and the quotes came out. We did a phasing approach. There are multiple different options, including a playground, a shade, a picnic structure with a grill, a fence, and we never came to quite a consensus on what we wanted to build or how much money we wanted to spend. And I do agree that, you know, we do need to have some sort of idea of what we want there, so that when we execute it, we're putting the town's name on it and we know that this is something that we are agreeing to. Right now, the property is being maintained. It's being kept clean, no trash, it's being mowed. The kids still play out there right now. They do have, I've seen some soccer goals put up there. I've seen, you know, kids playing football and different things like that. So it is in use. And I would just defer to the council on what your, you know, what your vision is for the area and what you would like to see there. Of course, we can make happen as little or as much as you want. And we'd love to get something started over there. The neighborhood would love to see some kind of recreation amenity. And whatever we can do, when we can do it, would be perfect.
Ashley, not for tonight, but for another time, can you give us information on making that a community park or a garden?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the consensus on 55,000 and then a change of 28,000 in the budget for this year?
I would like to drop it down to 5,000, and that would be contingent upon parks, or excuse me, the police safety committee coming back and giving a proposal. You know, years past, we talked about the community garden idea. I'd still love to see that personally, but I defer to the police and the community there.
Councilman Martin, can I share my memory on this?
Sure.
My recollection, and I'll ask our Parks and Rec committee members and the folks who were here when we did this, was that, and Ms. Platts as well, was that our public, our police officers went out, they did a survey of the community. They knocked door to door to see what the community wanted. And we took that information back to the board and kind of developed a general plan. We spent some money on flattening out the land, making it suitable, priced out some things, talked to the board about what the vision would be for it. My recollection is the board said, this is what we wanted to do. And then the bottom fell out with COVID, right? We were going to talk about it with the Parks Committee, and then it just got sidelined, right? So I think the officers have those kind of survey results. So would it be helpful to kind of reshare those?
Not Alex, not tonight. You know,
Okay.
that was in the past. So now
Okay.
here we are, you know, this is the money we have. This is a budget discussion. So I hate to be blunt, you know, we just have a certain amount of money to spend, whether we, had a plan 2 years ago, you know, that was 2 years ago. So we're making decisions tonight based on the X amount of money that we have. So John.
That wasn't 2 years ago. It was just last year, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, John's recommendation is to lower the amount down to $5,000. Does anybody else have any comments?
I had this fully funded because based on our conversations earlier last year, we had reviewed plans, and just like we talked about in this meeting, effectively COVID had pushed those plans off, and we effectively just did not wrap back around with this. The way that I understood this money was spent last year because we had already discussed what we wanted to do. I mean, I hate to kick it down the curve again, just because it got lost in the shuffle last year when that was the initial plan, is to do this work actually in 2020, 2021 budget year. So I just don't understand why we want to go from, we were going to do this work to last year to not doing it at all, or pushing it off for another year.
I still don't, then or now.
What's that?
I thought that we all agreed when we were in person, when Ashley presented us to it, I thought it was like unanimous that we were going to get started on this.
Well, that's what we're voting on tonight. So if y'all want to vote on, if you want to spend $55,000 on Privet Park, that's up to y'all.
I mean, I don't think it's worth 55,000, but I definitely want to get it moving. I mean, 15 is fine with me.
I don't want to put money, a figure around something that does not exist. We need a plan, and then we need to understand how much that plan costs to implement. That's how you do things, right?
Could I suggest that
that might be how you do things, Stephen, but give somebody else a chance to talk.
I wasn't going to disagree with you, Stephen. In fact, I like the idea that if we've communicated to citizens in that neighborhood, and I don't know that I know where this neighborhood is, but I've not had any interaction. It's not my district. I think it's yours, Steve.
Yes, sir.
I'll be embarrassed if you just tell me it's mine. Thank you for saying it's yours. I don't know that I'd allocate money in the budget. What I would say we should do is to do what's right. That may mean re-familiarizing ourselves with the plan, keeping costs low. What does the community need there? 55 seems extensive, but my theme tonight is we've got 4.8 or whatever million in fund balance. I would probably pay for this out of fund balance, and I would probably be comfortable to do it in November or January, even after I see a plan with a budget ordinance amendment. So I think we're trying to almost put numbers to things that aren't ripe yet, but we can always do amendments in the budget through ordinances. Can we not?
Well, if we did a plan before COVID, what was the number?
I thought it was like in the 30s.
Yeah. Ashley, what was the number before COVID, Alex?
The final number was, it is a $55,000 number, but we split it into phasing plans. And the phasing included a playground with swings, included a shade structure, fencing, a grill, and a picnic pad. So we essentially split that into two phases is what we did. And we could either go one of two ways. We could build the playground structure first, and then come in with the other items, or we could build the fence and the grill and different things like that. So that's where we kind of ended the discussion was, hey, we have these options. Instead of going through a planner, we went directly to a playground place that had pretty good deals on their play structures and said, hey, what can you give us that will fill out this plot of land? We had 3 different companies come out and this was the best deal we got. And we said, okay, how can we phase it in? I can review those. I can get a new quote on those. I can get a few new quotes on those. I can look at it without a playground, whatever we think. We just went by the survey that a citizen said, and we said, okay, these are the things we're going to address with the Public Safety Department committee. And we kind of went that direction with it.
So I'm wondering, we talk a lot about spending money on the north side because they don't have a park, they don't have anything. And so now we want to spend $55,000 on a community park that's 1 mile away from a $3 million park.
And that's my
literally
concern as well.
That's literally the size of a
Why
lot.
we spend $55,000 on that?
I concur. I would just ask that if you haven't been to that neighborhood, that you may take a drive through and let that reflect for you.
Yeah, actually, we've all been through that neighborhood. So, so council, tell me what you want to do. We've beat this to death now.
I'd like to see what the plan was. I mean, and it feels to me like this was partially funded last year based on what I understood. So I thought that we had moved money over last year for this, at least phase 1.
Well, if we did, it would be in fund balance at the
Okay,
end of the
fund
year
balance,
because of
right.
savings. I would be okay to just move it along, to have a line item for this. I'll take John's suggestion of a minimal number, but reserve the right to look at a plan and decide later with the ordinance amendment.
All right, well, John recommended $5,000. Does anybody else have another number?
I was gonna say 10.
I'm okay with up to 5. 0 is my preference, but 5 is fine.
These are just random numbers based off of nothing. I mean,
Yeah, I'm trying to get a placeholder in the budget, Steve, so that then we can always come back. My fear is if you don't have anything in the budget, then it gets ignored or gets harder to do. So let's just put a $5,000 placeholder, knowing that we've got some work to do and move on.
Yeah.
So
Hold it spot.
And I'd remind council, we have a legal obligation to turn this into a park. Otherwise, we can lose it. We don't want to
And
lose
we've
it
been promising them for years.
forever. So, but at the same point in time, we can't even mow the grass up at Blair Mill and keep folks happy up there. So we've got to put some focus on Blair Mill and take care of the north side of Stallings before we dump a ton of money into a neighborhood park. And I hate saying that, but that's just the black and white of it.
So I got 4 for that 5,000. That'd be David, Brad, Heather, and John. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, $5,000. All right, we got it. Next up is the park maintenance staff conversion from part-time to full-time, which would be an extra $26,000.
So I think I had that in my recommended, Mayor.
my understanding is the farmer's market's going pretty well still, Ashley.
Sir, we've had it's not even negative. We had a down weekend. Getting out of the house in general, but our numbers have been up even with the weather being down. We've had an increase in the number of vendors, and we're excited to hopefully add some new spots in the future.
Okay, thank you.
All right, comments on this?
I don't know if you heard my first comment. I might have been muted, but I had this okayed in my draft that I sent to council. I think I made the comment that parks, we need to take care of our parks, and our parks aren't really good.
And I think we're putting a lot on our staff with basically an additional day of work almost required with the farmer's market. So this feels like a good move.
All right, can I get a consensus on this one then? Any other comments?
I'm a no.
I left it in.
What'd you say, Linda?
I left it in my budget.
All right, we've got one no, Stephen's a yes, Brad's a yes.
I'm a
I'm a yes.
yes.
Yes, all right, it's in. And then the second one is adding another a full-time position for a customer service, park management customer service.
I'm a no on that.
I'm a no.
I'm a no.
Yeah, no.
All right, that one's out. That's 4. And so the last 2 items are the stormwater, which we certainly, I don't know where you got those numbers. I can't remember, Alex, but certainly leave those in. We spend them at stormwater. So it's a line item. All righty, good job. So let's go back. Stephen wanted to go through the no's, or David, somebody, one of y'all two wanted to go through the no's. So if that's what everybody wants to do, we'll do it.
I did.
All right, first one up is 325 Stallings Road, 325, 329 demolition, $40,000.
Keep renting them.
What was that, John?
I said we got occupants in them, so, or at least one of them, so let's just keep renting them.
Right. All right, second one is the DFI Phase 2. We don't have a number in there, so we'll skip that. The communication specialist, there we go, $75,000.
Well, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, can we go back up to downtown site control and implementation costs? Because we have no money in there. And I guess my question is that if we do the 75,000, I would think that there's going to be some actionable items that come out of that. So I was just wanting to discuss with the group here. I mean, do we want to just keep that as if something does come out of that we need to act on within the next budget year, that would come out of funds balance?
Well, I would assume that whatever action item would be the following year. $75,000, they're going to take months. And
Yeah,
then,
it'll be well past the election, so we'll leave it to the next council.
In the next budget year.
And you're right, Steve. I think it would be more opportunity driven. So I don't know that I would put a line item in it because it might not happen, but it would be a special request to tap fund balance to buy some land for a specific purpose. So I think it's good to leave out for now, but I hear what you're saying. Support what you're saying.
Gotcha.
all right, thanks. Communication specialist, $75,000. Anybody support that?
In theory, but we just can't afford it right now.
All right, hearing no support, that's still a no. The citizen survey, Linda, I know you support this, so
I do. I think Alex got some figures on what that would cost now and the options we might have for doing that, but I do support it. I think 10 years is too long to go without broad feedback from our citizens in an organized survey form.
Yes,
Alex,
ma'am.
yeah, Alex, can you give us the numbers that you got?
Sure. And Ms. Nichols did a great job in tracking this down, but my understanding is that the budgeted recommended cost is $18,000. And that could come down based on what criteria we want to use for a survey. For example, if probably the most expensive option would be kind of mailing it out to folks, and the extent and the number of questions and things like that. But from a budget perspective, number's about 18,000.
All right, so we're not at 30, we're at 18,000. So what's the consensus of the council? So we got
Alex, who's doing it? A professional like Dr. Friday or who?
Yes, it'd be a group out of West Carolina University. It'd be the same group that did it with did the town of Matthews.
Okay.
I did reach out to Dr. Friday and he just is not providing that kind of service anymore. And he was not able to recommend anybody locally for us. So I'm sure Matthews does surveys regularly. So if they've got somebody they're comfortable with, I'll be comfortable with that too.
Ms. Nichols, did I leave anything out? Is that it?
No, sir, that's correct. I just wanted to point out, we actually got two different calls. So we haven't necessarily signed up with anyone yet. One was from Western Carolina University, as Mr. Sewell stated. And then there was the COG also provides that. I'm sorry, it's not the COG anymore. CRC also provides that service as well. So we have a couple of different options that gave us some preliminary quotes.
But they're under 20.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So $18,000 is the question. So we got.
What do we?
Yes for Linda?
Pardon?
I said we had one vote yes from Linda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What do you typically get from those surveys? I mean, is there like a, I guess an analysis also on the information that we get, or is it this many people answered yes, this many people answered no? I'm just trying to understand, what is it that we get from those surveys? Is it just?
I was just saying, normally there is an analysis that goes along with it. That's part of the cost. So there would be a survey analysis done by whatever group we selected.
And is there, I mean, do we do any type of metrics from the town as to when we do a town survey, how we translate that survey into actionable and delivered products or services?
That would probably be something we do in our next retreat next year.
Okay, I mean, that's my only thing here, is that I think that we need to make sure that if we are having town surveys, that those figure into how we do business for the town, and so have some type of metrics going forward. And the reason why I say that is that if we're having a survey and we're not actually doing anything to implement that survey, then I'm not sure if it's helping us at all.
Right.
So just something to consider.
Yeah, I support it too. I think it's a good idea.
All right, so we got 2 yeses for 18,000.
Me too. 3.
3, 4. All right, that's a yes. All right, the next no would be the gateway signage for the atrium roundabout, $200,000.
I'll support that, Mayor. I think that was expensive quote, and it sounds expensive, but as David said a moment ago, these things can be expensive. I think this one, I'd like to learn more about the cost, but I think I heard someone say, I don't know who it was, that this is an entranceway to our town, fairly significant and important. I think it's worth having a budget for it. So I'd be okay with a fund balance expenditure on this.
Well, I certainly
I'm
support,
sure.
I certainly support the signage, but
Yeah.
I couldn't straight face tell anybody that's on fixed income in the town of Stallings that we just spent $200,000 on a sign that says we're Stallings and this is where the hospital is.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I think that's a valid point. I was out by the airport, by the way, and inside Charlotte Airport the other day, and I saw what must have been $1 million sign at the entranceway there. It's beautiful.
That's easy. I was just there as well. That's easy. So, but that's
I was there this morning. You talk about the big crown?
Yeah.
well, it's all lighted up and
That is cool.
it's $1 million sign, but
Well,
that's Charlotte. You know, we're a little old Stallings. So
Hey,
I mean,
we
I
have
don't have a
something.
problem funding it, but putting a line item in there of $200,000 for the community to see that we're going to spend $200,000 on a sign.
we could put 100,000 in there. I'm just saying, I don't think we know exactly what it's going to cost. And then I assume Alex will bring us back a number that we would approve in a budget meeting or in a meeting, something this big. And John, you had a comment, I think.
So you're okay putting 100,000?
Well, somewhere we got 200,000, and I'm okay with a $200,000 number. All I'm saying is that we're going to come back at a later date with the justification for the price. And at that point, citizens would have a chance to speak about the cost of the sign, what we see. Right now, I've got no rendering, no image, no nothing. I have a memory of a really cool looking sign that Lynn presented to us.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the number as it is. I don't think we need to play funny math here by making it look low, because these things are just expensive. Quality is expensive.
I'm okay with leaving the number as well, but I'd like to challenge staff to maybe reach out to some of the local colleges, any of the ones that have a VOTEC. And I don't know if Central Piedmont has a VOTEC, but work with them and see if maybe they can work with the town and do something as a, you know, for lack of a better term, a master's project. You know, I've worked in communities before, you know, Lenexa and Kansas City, that work with local colleges that built landmark projects for the community, you know, bridges on the greenways, using the ironwork programs, the local VOTEC. And I would have to think that the local colleges would be looking for opportunities like this. And given that we're right next door to them, let's see what they can do with the town.
Well, I agree with you. UNCC has one of the top architectural schools in the country. And I'm sure they have to do senior projects. And I know it's a small project, but I agree with you. Let's before we contact somebody that knows it's public money and that they're going to suck us dry, let's see what else we can come up with.
Yep.
All right. So we got Brad's a yes, John's a yes. Who else?
Yes.
David?
Don't sound so excited, David.
I'm not. It just blows my mind that it's $200,000.
I agree.
All right, that's three. I need one more.
But I know it is what it is. And it better be less.
It better be
I
nice.
really like John's idea about contacting a university, so I'm okay with leaving it in, and let's try to get that figured out with some better vendors.
Agree.
All right.
Can I ask a
And, the last in is the Blair Mill Park enhancement, the food truck pad in the north side of the park. And Heather,
I actually increased this number.
well, I'm gonna leave it up to Heather since it's her district and her neighborhood.
Well, I was torn on this because is this just basically a area of picnic tables for $50,000? Like, I read the link and looked at the pictures, but I don't know like what all this is including.
Yes, I'll clarify that. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this was a response to council interest during our retreat about a potential food truck pad at the park. The enhancements there have been desired for a while. It does not have to be a food truck pad, but I brought this number back in response to that particular request. I did bring in the link and I sent that to you. But again, like you said, it doesn't have to be a food truck pad. It doesn't have to be that specific enhancement. I just know that we have had many discussions about enhancements at Blair Mill Park, and we all agree we want to do something there. And whatever council agrees that we want to have happen there, staff will definitely make happen.
Okay, well, I am for that amount for something, but not just, I mean, it would have to be something nicer than just picnic tables set out.
Yeah, I'm not interested in, I agree that I'm not interested in a food truck pad. It's something that's not used every day. I'd rather see some piece of equipment that can be used every day by the community.
Is it possible to get some type of, I mean, overarching plan here again? I mean, just because my thought was almost like Heather's, is that I would like to put some money there to get things started, but I'd also like to see kind of a comprehensive plan there. It kind of, if it's 5 years or whatnot, on kind of things that would need to be done. Like I was pointing out in my email, we don't even have curbs over there. And so, I mean, it looks very, I mean, that was just something that was pointed out to me. It looks kind of unprofessional.
If my memory serves me right, I believe we've done 3 plans for Blair Mill Park and we haven't implemented one of them. So
I think
this-
because they're also
it's been-
astronomical.
It's been planned to death. So, so it's just time to put some money to it and decide what you want to go in there.
So is that,
One thing we don't need is another plan.
No, but we don't want to rush either. So maybe we just put a placeholder for an enhancement, leave that blank, and we'll figure it out in the first quarter or third quarter in the next couple of months.
If that helps with council, we can bring back the plans that have been there in the past for everyone to review. Our Park and Rec Committee should be coming back in August. And that everyone have a chance to review everything they like about all the plans that have happened in the past, all the things that we don't like, and see where we can come to a consensus.
Right.
so
Do we want to put a placeholder in there? Heather, I think.
A placeholder, yes.
I agree.
And what number would you like to do?
What is it right now? 50?
50,000.
Yeah, 50 is fine.
All right. Can I get a consensus on that? I see Stephen. Is that a yes?
yes, sir.
John?
Yep.
3.
I'll
Sure.
be a yes.
I'm a lower placeholder. I think 50 is too high.
All right, Linda, what was your vote?
I said I'm supporting it because
All
I
right,
think. we need
That's
to-
4. So we got $50,000.
Okay.
All right, that takes all care of all the no's, and we'll let Alex and me we'll total them up. But now we need to discuss how we pay for this. There's several options that we talked about last time, and maybe there's more. One option is we can leave the rate at the revenue neutral rate at 0.166 and pay for all of this out of fund balance. All the enhancements that are over our operating budget is equal to 1.166. Second thing we could do is we can have the tax increase of 3 cents up to 0.196 as Alex did his draft budget on. The third option, one of the options is that David and I discussed is reducing the 30% that we have in fund balance, reducing it down to 20%, which would be about I think about $700,000, almost cover all the enhancements that we were talking about. You know, we're only required by the state to have an 8% reserve funding. We have 100%. We have, you know, the unassigned and the assigned budget's equal to about $8 million, and our budget is $9 million. So we are almost at 100% percentage of in fund balance. So we have plenty of room to work there and still be in compliance. So those are my 3 options. Does anybody else have another option that would like to discuss?
I'd like to hybridize a bit, move the tax rate from the revenue neutral 16.6 up to 17.6, as well as reduce our, capital reserve from 30% down to 20% or 18%. I think that'll give us the flexibility. We're not taking a big hit on reserves or balance. And then the next year, the next council, or even later this year, we can have a more serious discussion if we want to do a real tax rate increase.
I think I agree with that last part, because by then we'll have the survey back. We'll have a real good idea. If our citizens want this stuff, they have to know it's going to cost X dollars.
Yep.
We would have the ability to have a longer term, deeper discussion about taxes.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point. You and I had that discussion as well. I don't think that leaving it at revenue neutral and taking all that money out of fund balance is the best option right now. I think a slight adjustment upward, up to like the 17.6 to give us a little more flexibility in knocking off some of these projects, but leaving the big stuff that we currently understand the community wants for a potential tax increase.
Mr. Mayor, has Alex been keeping up with what we've spent and did a retotal for us?
No, I was trying to, but I was going to let him, do it tonight after the meeting and then send it out tomorrow.
It's gonna be
I
late
guess
on
for
the
me-
tonight.
What's that?
I guess for me, it's hard to make that decision because I don't know what that total number is right this minute. That was just where I was going with that. Obviously I had my math set over here, but I know that we've added stuff to subtracted stuff. So it might be worth, I don't know, I wouldn't mind seeing that number just to see where we're at.
Well, give me 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and I'll total it up for you.
Okay,
I think I
We need to
I
keep
kept track of it.
We've got,
Marcia, you kept track of it?
I have. The only one that I'm not sure on, and I kind of have a little bit of question on, is this the let me see here. We said no. Which one it was now?
Grab them.
The number that is $851,900 as the change, and it was lower than that before.
Marcia, did you get the $30,000 in there for the roadway cuttings as well?
I did not. So if I add that in, that would be $881,900.
So that would be, just making sure I'm on the right thing. The total net change on the notable things, you have that now at 881,000?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Marcia, could you pull that up? Mayor, with your permission, can we pull that up and just look at it together, just to make sure we're all on the same page?
Sure.
I can do that. I can share my screen.
Thank you, Marcia.
Let's see. Okay. So there were Ys and yeses in these manager draft ones before, and I put, as we went through, I said yes or no, so that I knew that I changed it. So there was a no on the demolition, a yes for the front entrance, a yes for the economic development coordinator, a yes for the DFI downtown feasibility. And there were a bunch of no's. So there were no changes. Let's see. The next yes I have is here. It was already in the budget for the outsourcing of payroll, so it didn't change it because it was a yes. This was a no, and it changed to a yes for the citizen survey, so we put 18 in there. The performance evaluation was a yes at 6, so that stays. The healthcare renewal. The difference there was we were able to come back with a lower rate. That's why it went from 18 down to 13. The league came back to us. So our original thought was 18,720 to change to another carrier. And then the league came back and said, you know, they could do it for less. So that's why it's only 13. I know there were some questions about that.
No, Marcia, that was in, they approved that. And I would also add that they took out the $98,000 for the streetscape as well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And
Okay.
then
It's not showing on yours as it was in the initial budget.
yes.
Okay. So then the potential litigation stayed the same.
Wait a minute. I think we said that would come out of fund balance, right? Not,
Well,
we weren't.
We just need the number right now versus then we'll figure out what comes out of fund balance and what doesn't.
Oh, okay. I thought, okay. My apologies.
Yeah, we just need to know a total number. Similar to what he gave us the first time of, you know, $865,100.
I guess I might need a little clarity because, I mean, when I think of the budget, I think of the fiscal responsibility. Fund balance is sort of what's already in the bank for the year. So I kind of calculated it different from that aspect. So, all right.
All right. Then we had all the police department things. They stayed in and they were already in the budget. This one changed. It went from a no to a yes on the gateway signage. Everyone was pretty much agreeing with the $200,000 number.
I want to clarify too. I know there was talk about the design is already underway and nearly pretty close to completed. So, John, I'd love to kind of chat with you one-on-one about your thoughts there. And the estimate, that's I think an engineering design estimate. So I just want to throw that out there as well.
Sure.
Well, Alex, when you say the design is already underway, are we paying for that?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It was approved in the budget, and I think we kind of checked in with y'all a couple times on it.
Right, the design part. So the 200,000 is on top of the design. The
That's
200,000
estimated. That's estimated construction cost.
construction, right? So now we're looking at I can't remember what the design number was, but now we're looking at a what, $250,000 sign?
I don't recall the cost of design, but I'll look that up and follow up tomorrow with you.
Well, let's let Marcia do her thing. Let's add it up and answer one question at a time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so then the next one down, I think this is the one I had a question on. The bypass landscaping, it was
Zero.
said that we did.
Zero.
Yes, okay, so that's fine, I took it out. The transportation master plan, I left that in.
Hold on, that would be 45,000 if we wanted to outsource that, the bypass landscape. That 15,000 was us doing it in-house plus just the mulch and irrigation costs. I had in my notes that council wanted to outsource the.
Yeah, we're gonna outsource it.
Yeah. So that should be 45,000. Right?
So this should be a yes at 45.
We'll change it to 45,000, but change in the comments there that it's gonna be outsourced, not a part-time position. And then yes, on the column F.
Okay,
I think that second to last column actually is whether it's in the draft budget or not, just to clarify.
All right, the transportation, it stayed in.
yeah,
The power bill stayed in, the 125 to 150 stayed in.
HVAC stayed in, it was already in. Zero turn mower stayed in and it was already in there. All of the tractor attachments, lift, and the additional staff are no, so they actually came out. I pulled those numbers off of here.
Mhm.
There were numbers in there before. Then the roadway grass cutting, we said we were going to outsource it, so I put $30,000 in. So I guess that would be a yes. And Blair Mill enhancements was a yes at 50,000. The Vickery stayed in, Vickery portion of the Greenway. The Blair Mill landscaping is a no. Storm remediation we have as a no.
I'm a little confused by that too. I thought it was outsourced for 25.
So the 25,000, that's just kind of the annual estimated cost for outsourcing the routine maintenance, if you will, the cycle of keeping care of turf grass. What we don't know is the clay is very hard. It's a hard clay out there, the soil is. So we may need to do some soil remediation work. So working to find a sort of a turf management expert who can come out, look, take some samples and determine if there's any sort of soil rejuvenation work that needs to be done first.
I sent Brian an idea on that. That's fairly low cost. So just something to evaluate.
Thank you.
So would line 43 be a yes based on what we talked about, or no?
It would be a yes.
Okay.
I think it looks like Marcia's changed the manager draft list to y'all's response. I think that's what's confusing you.
Well, I just didn't see any
Well-
money there.
So it needs to be 25,000.
And then contracted service.
And then the sewer remediation, that's a TBD, really.
This is a contracted service already.
All right.
Okay,
We left the 10,000 in, the 5,000 right, the 26,000 is right, and the 0 for the, is right. So your total change, is that right? 951,000?
950.
So the previous number was 865. So an increase of $90,000 approximately. So it is what it is. So now we have so now we got a number, $951,900. And so we can do a hybrid, as John says. We can pay it all out of just reducing from 30. I'll pay off almost all of it from 30 to 20%, do the full increase of 3 cents, or pay it all out of fund balance, or do a hybrid. So
I suggest another option,
yes, sir.
slightly different. I was talking to Richard Helms today, and Alex and I have been talking about the fact that revenue neutral doesn't exactly give the town the same income level as before, because of the fact that there will be adjustments and there will be a change in the amount of sales tax distributed to the town. So the county is charging I think the penny more than, quote, the revenue neutral rate to offset that. And I think that was sort of where I was going with it. And to hear that the county's looking at doing that as well makes some sense to me as well. So I'm thinking that we either bump it 0.5% over revenue neutral. Yeah, not up to 0.5% over revenue neutral probably will offset the change in the distribution of sales tax and the adjustments to the valuations, the appeals. So I would propose that be our new rate. And we go and change our fund balance reserve number from 30 to 20 and have that available rather than just have it available.
What is that number when you do 20 to 30, down to 20?
It's 0.166. Oh, that one, 730,000.
So Dave, are you suggesting instead of going to 16.6, which is revenue neutral, going to that 17.6?
17.1.
17.1.
Yeah, half cent.
Yeah, 0.5 cent. And you were at a whole cent at 17.6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'd still like that whole cent, but give us some room. But
well, I'm not looking to do a tax raise, but I'm also not looking to cut the town's revenues, their income. And I think, as Alex said, we're shooting at a moving target. There's no way to be absolutely accurate on this ahead of time, but 0.5% over and above that, quote, revenue neutral to the taxpayer, but to the town, revenue indicates what the town receives, not what the consumer pays.
Yep.
So the revenue to the town needs to be neutral in this way. By adding 0.5%, probably will get it as close to neutral as we can probably get ahead of time.
All righty. Any other suggestions?
Mr. Mayor, I've gone through the math and I still think that we need 2 cents. And I've gone line by line. That's just my thoughts. I think that if we go, I think based on the information that Brad provided earlier, where we're probably less than revenue neutral today in general. And I think that if we plan to move these large projects forward, we're going to need a little bit more budget to work with in the future. That's my general thought.
Well,
I know it's not popular, but that's my general thought, is that
2 cents wouldn't cover 951,000 though, would it?
No, it wouldn't. But Brad brought up the fact that, we had $600 and some $1,000 worth of savings from last year. And,
Right.
and I'll admit, I did not keep the 200,000 for I was at about 100. I was about at 850,000 when I did my math. So I'm about 100,000 off from this. But I mean, if we use some of that $600,000 savings from last year as a one-time for some of these projects, then I think that what I don't want to do, my cautious here is that if we take it too much out of fund balance, we're not looking towards the future budgets that are going to continue to need some funding that's represented within this year's budget. For example, if we plan to move forward with the greenways, we're not going to have that budget in the future. So that's my big concerns, is that if we pay out of fund balance too much, we may paint a false picture as to future year budgets.
Well, and we also still have plans to pay off the debt for the town hall as soon as we can do that without penalty. And that'll be a big number.
Yes, ma'am.
What is that time frame, Marcia? When do we get out from under the prepayment penalty, and what would be the nut you'd crack at that point to pay it out? We talked about that already.
You know, I'm thinking about this. It's either a number of 3 or 5 years, and I feel like it's 3, but it could be 5.
Which would be
and
one more year.
It was 3.
Yeah. So if you look at it like that, I mean, there's a lot that's going on too. We have this fund balance, and we're going to have to probably front money for Potter Road, Pleasant Plains as well. So while I think that paying off the fund balance, the loan for the building would be great, I don't think we can do that without moving forward with P3 and getting the refunds should they come through, or the reimbursements from the other sources, you know, because we may have to put up $5 million for that. Yeah. And I think that we could get incremental funding back, you know, apply for reimbursements as we go along, you know, as we hit different milestones. We could do milestone billing. And I think that'd be, you know, we can negotiate that in the contracts that we sign with both the state and, you know, whoever else is going to be giving us our funding. But, you know, if you dig too deep into fund balance, it could kind of, I guess, paying off the loan would be the lead. I would probably push that out a couple of years just because of that. You want to keep the fund balance as high as you can during this next period, you know, just in case there's something that would come up that you would need additional funding for. You want to have the borrowing power and the financial stability in the town to be able to do so. So, you know, I can't, while we have, you know, a significant amount in fund balance that is not used, I could see, you know, there's a couple different, I guess a few different approaches we could take. The 30% reserve that we have, the additional reserve, could be used just to help fund the P3 project. And then the council could choose to, you know, reinstate that once that project's over. And that would keep us at a unrestricted reserve balance that, you know, that could be used in the future. But I hate to put us in a position, you know, that we want to pay that off within that, you know, that 3-year period and try and do you know, push forward with these other projects.
So
I hope I made.
I missed the number earlier. I think someone said it, but what is the delta or what is the revenue available if you drop the policy from 30 to 20% of the emergency savings? What is that number? 700?
Probably about 700. Because the 30% number is about 2.2 million. So it's going to be $750,000.
And does that include, Brad, your 600?
That's a different number, I think.
That would go into unassigned, the number you're talking about, Brad.
Well, here's where I am, and I'll say this, and I know, Mayor, you're a revenue neutral guy all along, and I think that's why you're so popular, and I get that, and I respect you immensely. Did I say that well enough?
I appreciate it.
Here's the thing, and this is what I tried to say in my email earlier. I think revenue neutral is actually revenue negative. For what David, you said so well a moment ago, we're going to go negative because of appeals and because of sales tax revenue. So starting there, I think you're exactly right, David. You can't go revenue neutral because it's not truly revenue neutral. So then the question becomes, what do you pay for, and how do you pay for it? If this number is 951,000, I don't think it's smart to pay for all of it out of fund balance. Here's why. I want to pay off town hall in a few years. I want to have money available for land purchases downtown. Should we have an opportunity? I want to have money for light rail participation should we have to. And then we got P3, and who knows? I love the 30% reserve. I think it's too high, but I applaud y'all for pulling that money aside. I hate sending money back to the bank. It should go to the citizens in the form of a dividend because they prepaid it and we've not spent it, or we should do what they've asked us to do. And as I read the 2011 survey, I know it's 10 years old now, they prioritize roads, they prioritize parks. They touched on economic development, but 10 years ago, I think that meant something different. I'm surprised y'all went as low as you did. And I appreciate that, John. I thought 1%, well, let me say where I am. I think we should pay all we can out of fund balance within reason, but have a penny for roads and have a penny for parks and economic development. And that's 2 cents. That's $500,000 to the budget. That's an additional revenue. And I think that pays a penny for roads. That's what Alex has asked for, $250,000 for annual road expansion or resurfacing. And we've talked about a need for parks and economic development. And I do think we need more commercial. I do think we need more industrial. I do think our tax base is out of balance. And the only way you do that is by having some money available in fund balance reserved for economic opportunities where somebody wants to do some partnering with incentives or infrastructure to land that plant over in Union West Business Park or somewhere around Gribble Road that helps us with tax base. So that's where I am. I thought 3 cents might be a little bit of a reach, though I was okay with Alex proposing his budget. I think 2 cents is about right for where I am, and I would support that.
All right, thank you, Brad. All right, so we've got several options. We've heard from Stephen, John, David, and Linda made the recommendation. Made the motion on the 0.196. So I think Heather, do you have any comments, or are you just ready to vote on one of the options?
Yeah, this is not a good subject for me because I don't have any expertise, so I have to rely on y'all.
Well, if you have questions, you feel free to ask.
Heather runs her own business.
Yeah.
You're probably better than the rest of us at this.
Yeah, my budget's a little bit less than this one.
Don't sell yourself short.
All right, well, can I get somebody willing to make a motion on their recommendation?
Well, we got a bunch of recommendations out there.
Yeah,
First one I want to propose is make a motion is that we drop our 30% to 20%.
Can we do that tonight? We can't really do that, can we, tonight? That's just we're just getting a sense for that.
Yeah, we're just getting a consensus for it. We have to bring it has to go through
Okay.
Public hearing and all that, but
Is that a budget item or is that just a policy item?
that's a policy item. Yeah.
So that one, we don't need to public hearing on that. That's just, it's an internal decision we make, isn't it?
Yep. When we took it to 30%, it was just an internal decision, but we could talk about it when we have the public hearing on the budget. So
Yeah, I don't mind that either, but I'm just like, it's all right. Do we have a consensus?
right. So let's go. So we've got a recommendation from David to reduce the rate from 30% to 20%. So let's go just district by district. John, what are you, District 1?
Yeah, I'd like to see a public explanation, something we can post on social media just to make folks understand the move. But yeah,
We need to do that. Yeah. So let's vote 1 yes. David's 2. Linda?
I'm okay with bringing it to 20%.
All right, that's 3. And then Heather, you're in District
I'm in
4.
favor. I'm in favor.
All right, that's 4. Stephen, you're District 5.
Man, if inflation keeps going up, the 30% we have is going to be 20%. So,
Hey, Trump's going to take care of inflation in 2022. Have a little faith.
all right, I'm on board with that.
All right, Brad.
I'm okay with that too. Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to do 30 to 20%. So now the discussion is what the rate should be.
Well, and I'm happy to make a motion. I didn't get any feedback necessarily from what I said, so we can do it through a motion. So I'll make a motion to increase our tax rate 2 pennies, 1 for road, 1 for parks and rec and economic development, setting the rate at 0.186.
Got it.
Using the balance and I would like some thoughts about what would go out of fund balance and what would be operating, but that's where I'd start the conversation.
All right. And I'll do the same thing. You got a motion from Brad. So John?
Is there a second? I didn't get a second though. So
we don't need a second in committee.
Okay.
I agree in principle. I just think I still would like the public to have a chance to weigh in. So I'd like to be a little more conservative than 18.6. I'd support 18.1.
All right, so you're a no on 18.
You're a no.
Yeah, so sorry, long-winded no.
No. David?
No.
No. Linda?
I'm going to support it because that's closest to the 3 cents that I had proposed earlier. And I am concerned about getting our margins too thin. So I'll support this 2 cent.
All right, that's a yes. Heather?
Yes.
That's a yes. Stephen?
That's the math that works out. Yes, sir. I'm a yes.
All right, and Brad's a yes. So the 2 cents is what we're going to do. And 1 cent for roads and 1 cent for parks, minimum.
Well, I mean, that's just market at. That's how I'd message it, right? So I think roads and economic development parks.
It's a good sell.
Yeah. Well, and yeah.
I mean, when I was doing the math, Brad, on my side, it basically broke down to one penny for parks and 1 penny for everything else, which included downtown development. If that helps you.
And there's probably at least a 0.5% loss to the distribution of sales tax and appeals. So your 2% is 2 points is only probably 1.5 net.
Yeah.
All right, so now the line items that we were talking about coming out of fund balance. The first one I had was the potential litigation expense of $125,000.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was the Privet Park enhancements of well, we took that down to $5,000. We might want to just leave that in the operating budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then of course the Blair Mill Park Greenway will come out of, whatever that's not coming out of the park fee in lieu of park fee in lieu of will come out of fund balance.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything else in there, Brad, that you?
Let's see.
I thought this. Sorry.
Yes, go ahead, Steve. Which one?
I thought the signage, I thought we said was going to come out of fund balance, but maybe I misunderstood.
The gateway at Atrium?
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, to me, that's a fund balance one.
All right.
Let me get off the screen and look at what I had written earlier.
All right.
Now, I had town hall doors. Did that survive? I don't know if that survived or not.
Oh, yeah,
I had
doors, yes.
legal costs. I had the DFI contract, if executed, could come out of savings, the 75,000. And then again, I didn't do the math on a 2-cent versus, so I don't know. I'd like Alex to maybe give us some thoughts on what would be, again, if it's, I defer to Alex a lot because I think we pay him to do this stuff. I'd like to know sort of what his thoughts are on if within a 2-cent budget, what would that look like?
All right, so I got, let me see, where's the doors? What's the number of those doors?
28.9.
28.9, thank you. So those four, you got the gateway signage at 325, the litigation, that makes it 325, the 28, so 75, that's $428,000 out of the
That should be 500, right? Yeah.
out of the 951,000. So with a 2 cents tax increase and using 428,000 out of fund balance, to your point, Linda, we should not be that thin on margin.
Well, the 2 cent above will probably give you about $500,000.
Right.
So that works out almost right. I mean, almost to the,
Yeah,
It'll be a little bit,
a penny's worth
it'll be a-
$273,000.
yeah.
So 2 is 553,
Mhm.
556.
so that works out almost perfect, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I
Within,
can do, I'll do math on tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can send out budgets.
Yeah, so 951 minus 428 is 533. Pretty close.
I would ask that the board, we're doing a lot of math on the fly here. We obviously want to make sure that we get this right. I would ask that the board let us kind of double check everything tomorrow, or probably till the end of the week. We want to get it right. Maybe look and see how it affects the 5-year plan, and kind of go from there. Does that sound okay?
Yep. All right. Council, comments? Any other line item in the line item budget that Marcia sent out that anybody has any concerns about? Too high, too low?
Well, maybe
All right.
we should go through that one line by line.
All right. Take a 5-minute break and we'll come back for another 2 hours.
I was gonna say, if we keep doing these late meetings, we're gonna put a line item in for Denny's or IHOP,
All right.
What is the schedule? If there's a public hearing and required and a vote, what does that look like? Alex, remind me.
Public hearings next week.
There'll be a public hearing on Monday. And then the next
The 28th. Okay.
can't vote it on the day, so unless there's a special meeting, it'll be the 28th. So we'll kind of run the numbers. I want to make sure we get this right. So we won't go out with the packet tomorrow afternoon, but before the end of the week, we'll get this all together and try to run the 5-year plan and just kind of get everything and send it out to y'all.
Well, and let me just ask for the good of the team. We all may not agree on this this particular budget number, but I do think there's value in communicating. Number one, we have a lot of savings, so we're spending some savings. And number two, we had some new initiatives, and those frankly are roads in downtown. Again, not to parks, not to market this entirely, but I think it's helpful if we sort of communicate that revenue neutral truly wasn't revenue neutral. So that I think that would help us all get along better in the next couple of weeks. So that's what I'd ask you to do, everyone.
I agree.
All righty. Well, thank you all for your input and your patience with me. So we'll adjourn and we'll meet next Monday night. Thank y'all.
Before we adjourn, you said, was there anything else in the line items that we wanted to discuss? And I had proposed in the communication I sent that we not do the pay increases to keep in the step plan this year. And part of my rationale for that was because most of our employees have benefited from the stipends that have been mailed out at least twice already. And I think there's a third one coming. So I don't know if there's support from other council members for that, but I would at least like to have that discussion and possibly a vote with regard to addressing that item.
All right. I apologize, Linda. Yeah, I read that in your summary. So let's have any discussion on that?
I wouldn't support it. There's already a talent crunch for highly qualified people as it is. So we need to keep our staff happy. So.
All right. Any other comments? Heather, you still on? Let me.
I'm here.
Yeah, I closed my screen. All right. Can I get a consensus on this? So Linda, repeat that. What would be the exact details?
That we do a pay freeze this year.
Pay freeze. Okay, got
Not do increases for salary for this 1 year.
it. All right, but we've still covered the change in the insurance.
Right. Yes. And no change in benefits, just the salary freeze.
All right. Any support from this other than Linda?
I love Linda and I appreciate the sentiment, and I do think there are times and places for these, and you got to know I've worked in city government for 20 years, so I know when those have happened and for good reason. I don't support it. Here's why. I think that in a town our size, we struggle to get top talent, and the cost of replacing employees as they go elsewhere to find more money is often not talked about. So I'd fear retention issues if we don't keep up with cost of living and merit raises. So for that reason, I don't think I'll support that.
All right. Thank you, Brad. Anybody else? Support or not?
Not.
All right, that's 3 no's. I need one more.
I hate to be the bad guy here, but yeah, I'm in the same boat. I don't like. I completely. I'm in the same boat. I love you too, Linda. So, but I would prefer not to pull that type of money.
All right. Well, that's 4, and that's a consensus then. All right, Linda. Thanks for bringing it up and everybody's feedback. Any other topics?
Hey, I did want to blame this whole group here. You gave my son the bug to run for office, so he did run for his class vice president, for his senior class vice president, and he did win. So,
congratulations!
Thank you.
It's your fault, not our fault.
What's that?
It's your fault, not our fault.
But we make it look so fun. He wanted to do it.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it was. No, I was just sharing that it has had some influence on him. So, and for better or for worse, and I just wanted to share with you guys.
All right. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. All righty. Good night, everybody.
Mayor, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Oh, motion to adjourn, somebody?
So moved.
By David, second by Stephen Ayers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Thank you all. Thank you, Aaron, Alex, Marcia,
Aye.
Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you.